You've been told you're depressed, but what if that's not the full story? For a ton of autistic adults, what gets labeled as depression is actually something completely different. Something that doesn't respond to the usual fixes, no matter how hard you try. And what is that thing? Autistic burnout. On the outside, it can look just like depression, even to doctors and therapists. Low energy, brain fog, withdrawal, irritability, hopelessness. But below the surface, it's very different, and it requires different treatment. By the end of this video, you'll know 5 key differences that can help you tell them apart, and then what to do if you realize you've been trying to treat the wrong one. Let's dive in. The trigger. Depression can show up slowly, sometimes without any clear cause. It might be tied to brain chemistry, genetics, or long-term emotional distress. But autistic burnout, it comes after too much of everything. Too much masking, too many expectations, too much noise, too much pushing through normal life. And it sticks around for a minimum of 3 months, but can last even longer. Cycles of burnout are really common, especially for high-masking autistic people. So if you can look back and trace the start of this feeling to periods of intense overload, sensory, emotional, or social overload, that's a huge clue. Maybe it was after a big life change, like the birth or death of a family member, or moving to a new place, graduating and ending a period of stability as a student, working a constantly demanding job, or months of pretending to be fine when you really weren't. Nope, not even a little bit. Autistic burnout is your brain and body saying, we can't keep this up anymore, so we're shutting down. And this difference matters because while depression often responds to therapy or medication, burnout requires a full-on reset of your environment, your pace, and how you spend energy. You can't fix sensory overload by talking about it. It requires a change, but it's hard to change your sensory environment if you don't even realize that's a cause of your burnout. And if you don't realize the intensity of sensory input is commonly intensified during autistic burnout. That would have been good to know earlier. We'll talk more about sensory issues later. The motivation gap. With depression, people commonly lose interest or pleasure in things they normally enjoy. It's not just fatigue, it's emotional disconnection. In burnout, that also can happen. And if you're autistic and have a special interest or passion, this disconnect from the very thing that brings you joy normally is really alarming. It's like cutting off a part of you. It feels like intense loss. The good news is that it can improve, and for me, my interests were back as my buddies as burnout improved. And another confusing part, sometimes during burnout, you do still care. You still want to do the thing. Your brain just can't get your body to follow through. It's like watching yourself from the outside thinking, okay, I'm ready. Come on, brain, let's do this. Just start. And your brain goes, nope, you pushed us too far, so we're shutting it down right now. You might start and get stuck, or have so little cognitive ability that you forget what you're doing as you're doing it. Your motivation might not have disappeared. Your brain's just completely fried and short-circuiting, and it's thinking it's protecting you from more demands it can't meet. For me, this disconnect cycle of burnout sends me spiraling even harder. I get so frustrated and upset because I want to be productive. I have things I want to do. I'd start doing something and then got overwhelmed and had to stop. And stopping my autistic inertia would upset me even more. And I'd see my brain isn't working right. I'd shut down on a daily basis, sometimes an hourly basis, and then meltdowns that would deplete me even more. And people often mistake that productive shutdown for laziness or a lack of willpower. And in my case, people is me. But when you're in burnout, you're not lazy or just not trying hard enough. It's your brain's switching off before it's completely fried. I'm melting. I'm melting. Sensory and cognitive overload. This one's a big giveaway. Depression can make you tired and foggy, but it doesn't usually make the world physically painful. Autistic burnout does. Lights feel brighter, sounds are sharper, clothes are itchier. Your own skin, scalp, and skull might just feel tighter, and you want to escape that feeling. And your brain is overloaded constantly. Simple thoughts are slower, much, much slower. It's like your brain's running too many tabs at once and it's constantly buffering. That little circle of death on your computer, spinning constantly, and you're stuck. If you notice that your normal environments suddenly feel unbearable without anything changing in them, or if you need more silence than usual just to complete a thought, That's not typical depression. That's your sensory system hitting the danger zone. And if this sounds painfully familiar, the exhaustion, the brain fog, the way even small tasks feel like way too much, we've got a starting point for you. Our free burnout mini course can help you figure out if what you're experiencing is actually autistic burnout. It walks you through how to tell the difference between burnout and ordinary fatigue. It's a starting point so you can finally put a name to what's happening and know what you're dealing with. The link's in the comments and description below. Emotional experience. Emotions are hard with both depression and autistic burnout. They can be all over the place. Depression usually flattens emotions. You feel heavy, empty, maybe numb. Burnout can feel the same sometimes, but it can also crank up the emotions, way up. You might snap at small things, cry out of nowhere, or shut down completely because your emotion filter is gone. That's because you're overloaded. For autistic people, it's often not sadness, it's overwhelm. So think of your emotions like a bucket. When you're depressed, the bucket's usually empty. In burnout, it's overflowing and spilling everywhere, just sloshing, making a mess. And you know what that means, another shutdown or meltdown. Because why deal with your emotions when you can add more emotions and explode?
Plenty more where that came from.
Thanks a lot, brain. So it's less,
I just feel numb.
and more,
If my favorite spoon is dirty, when I've just figured out I'm hungry, I will cry hysterically, and then I'll forget I'm hungry until I get dizzy, and then I'll cry from being hungry, and then I'll break my spoon.
So depression may need connections emotionally to re-engage. Burnout usually needs less input until your system calms down. And knowing that difference is so critical to settling your brain and reducing the overwhelm. The recovery path. And here's the most important difference, the path out. Depression recovery usually focuses on emotional healing, therapy, social connection, sometimes medication, possibly working through stressors that led to depression. And those things can help if depression is the real issue. Autistic burnout recovery looks different because it's largely about nervous system regulation. You recover by helping the dysregulation, resting and reducing demands, establishing sensory safety and lowering sensory overload, unmasking, stimming, and allowing yourself to do what feels right for your unique brain, reconnecting with what genuinely restores you. You can't think your way out of burnout. You have to rest your way through it. That's why so many autistic adults say,
Medication helped for a while, but I still feel exhausted.
or
Nothing I've tried has helped me so far.
because it might not have been depression. It was probably autistic burnout. So treating it the same way as depression wouldn't have helped. That's why you have to know the differences in order to get the support you need. So if that's you, there's hope. It's not that you're unfixable. It's that you are tackling the wrong issues, which brings us up to a really important point after a quick recap. Triggers of burnout are often sensory and social overload, very different from depression. Burnout is extreme depletion. Depression is often disconnection. Burnout brings sensory overwhelm and cognitive slowdown. Burnout can heighten emotions, depression usually numbs them. Burnout recovery starts with understanding sensory issues and prioritizing rest. And here's the most important part. You can have both. So if that's you, it's important to understand that you might need outside support on this. But if what you're feeling is chronic exhaustion, emotional flooding, and sensory overload, start by fully understanding your burnout and looking to make adjustments first. If you want step-by-step help to get out of burnout and to learn how to prevent future burnout, that's exactly what our full Beyond Burnout course is designed to do. Because this isn't about fixing you. It's about giving your brain the environment it needs to finally heal. You're not lazy, broken, or unmotivated. You're trying to survive systems and environments that weren't built for you. But you can learn how to make adjustments and get recovery that actually works for your brain. And for more to help you learn about your brain, don't forget to grab our free mini course or stick around for more right here.
Just start.